Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, and today we're going to talk about why do good men stick around in failed marriages, bad marriages for that matter. Why do us guys stay in relationships that aren't working for us, or stay in relationships where a wife is cheated, or something even worse, perhaps? And when I started to think about this topic for today, I started reflecting on my own marriage, right? When things were going bad for my wife and I, and I'll just look at it from my side of the street for this scenario. And I remember looking at exiting my marriage, right? I remember starting to get referrals and recommendations for divorce attorneys. I remember the things that I would do. I started hiding money, putting cash aside in large amounts and chunks there. And I remember thinking about exiting. I also started to, make my short mental list of women, right, that I want to be with, but I didn't do it. I didn't pull the trigger. And when I look back at it, there were a lot of reasons, but one reason that I stuck around in a quote unquote failed marriage, obviously I turned that around, and that's why I coach other men how to do that now. But for all intents and purposes, it was thought of as a failed marriage. And one of the things that kept me in the marriage or kept me working on it was this idea, this underlying current that was going on in my brain of not being good enough. Right? Not being good enough. I was successful in every other area seemingly in my life. My fitness was really good. I was still playing competitive sports in my 30s with all these 20-year-olds and 21-year-olds. So I was doing great there in business, running 3 companies, doing well there. Had a great group of friends. So things seemed to be going really well, except for in my marriage, which of course, as you guys know, if you're married, it bleeds over into every other area. And I remember this nagging feeling of, well, if I get divorced, then what? What are people going to think of me? Right? I failed. I failed at this. Am I not good enough? Am I not a good enough man? Am I not a good enough husband? And the underpinnings of this conversation really got me down. And I would almost beat myself up for it. Like, well, why, Doug, why would you care what other people think of you? You shouldn't need to care about them. But the truth is I did. And in caring about him, I put up with a lot of crap that I might not have otherwise. I was a good guy and I had my issues, right? But at the time, this was my story, was being a good guy and going through it. And so when I thought about it, I thought, geez, what's holding me back here, and hindsight being 2020 as well, is I was worried that I wasn't good enough. What are people going to think of me, Doug? Right? What are they going to think of me if this marriage fails? If I get divorced? Now I'm the divorced guy, right? I'm the divorced guy that's out in the market. I have a failed marriage. I failed in other areas of my life, but for some reason, this was carrying more weight. And it wasn't so much of what my parents would think of me, but it was certain other people in my life, people that I looked up to, almost like parent-like figures in my life, mentors and such. I was mentored at a very, early stage in my business career by some great business mentors and other people who were extremely successful, who took me under their wing. And I was worried what they think about me. How would I show up to them if I failed in this marriage? And then what does this mean about me as my character as a man, my ability to provide, my ability to provide in bed, right? Sex. And, is it not good enough for her? Am I not good enough? Am I not making enough money? Am I not nice enough? All these stories about not being enough came in. And so that was the underlying current, was not enough, right? Am I not good enough? And so I stuck around. I stuck around longer than certainly I thought it would. And of course, I've shared parts of my story with other people. I'd left twice in the marriage. One time I left for an extended period of time to kind of collect my thoughts. Stayed at a beautiful beach house down in San Diego, California, and really try to figure out what I wanted to do. And this idea of being not enough is part of what kept me in the marriage. Now, again, for my relationship, I was able to use a lot of the applications that we have now in the activation method to turn the tide, right? And fast forward to today, my wife and I have an absolutely amazing marriage. Wouldn't change anything, even the pain and the hardships we went through. But there's a lot of guys out there who are in the situation where they've uncovered that their wife is cheating. Not once, not twice, but multiple times, right? She continues to do it. It's a repeating pattern. Or that they found out their wife's a gold digger, right? She's willing to get divorced, but only if you give her $5 million. So that's not love, right? They're finding these things out. So it's a little different than my scenario, yet they're sticking around in the marriage, right? They're the earner. They're the breadwinner. They're sticking around and they're truly nice guys. And that's the reason that's causing this for a lot of us men and a lot of these guys in particular. And I don't fault them for it. And I encourage, if you're in this situation, to ask yourself, what's the real reason you're sticking it out? Is it really because you love her so much that you can't imagine a life without her? I've been in this situation. I'm guessing you fantasize, right? You fantasize about other women and other things that are going on. But what I want to know is there any part of this in you that is a little worried what other people are going to think or what you think of yourself about not being good enough? You know, are you going to go back on the open market and just be alone? Now, I found an interesting thing. I was doing some research for our nonprofit. We're having speakers come in for an event. It's called the Worldwide Movement, an event on a summit, basically on issues facing the modern man. And you can find more of that if you subscribe to our newsletter. I was doing some research on that, and I ran across a series of articles on divorced dads. Now, the interesting thing about this was in particular, the subject matter I was looking up was divorced dads. And this was just divorced fathers. But what I found really interesting is the lion's share of the articles I found were written by women. And they're written by single women who called these DDs, right? Divorced dads. And they're saying they're the best guys to date. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. And they started to list all the reasons that other women should really target their dating preferences, their dating apps for divorced fathers. You know, they have their shit together was the most common thing. They usually are more experienced in bed, more likely to stay, less likely to do dumb stuff, et cetera, et cetera. The list went on. And it's pretty much typical things you would think about. However, I didn't really think about it much at all when until I read the article. And a woman who works with me, she's been working with me for about 10 years. I kind of listed a couple of them out. And she was like, yeah, obviously, like a lot of women talk about this. I found it really interesting. So when you think about this, that there's a lot of women out there who are actively looking for divorced dads. And we look back, why are you staying in a failed marriage, right? Why are you sticking around? You got to eliminate that excuse that women aren't going to find you attractive, because I'm telling you, there's a lot of articles about this. You're hot in the market, right? Your stock's going up, so to speak. Why are you putting up with what you're putting up with? Now, if you're working on your marriage because you want to, I applaud that, right? I am more for working on the marriage than I am not, right? I'm not saying anything against. I'm a product of a divorced family. I'm not saying anything against divorce. It's not the path that I wanted to go down. I realize it's not the path that anybody looks to go down, right? It's something that happens to many of us in our circumstances. But if you're in a marriage that's failed and you're not really working on it, right? You're not in the activation method, or you're not continuing coaching, whether it be the Brotherhood or Inner Circle or one of the other programs, whether it be ours or somebody else's. I just know intimately about ours. I know a few about the other programs that are out there because I tried them. They didn't work for me. But anyway, if you're not doing that, why are you sticking around? Why are you making excuses? And I say this not to be harsh, but really for you to take some thought into this. You know, are you really sticking around in this relationship where your partner's been cheating on you and lying to you on a regular basis, not once or twice? I mean, look, once or twice, okay, you can get over that, right? People screw up, people make mistakes. But 3, 4, 5 times, you showed me who you really are, right? You showed me who you really are. And, why are you sticking around in that? What is the real reason you're staying around? And I invite you to ask yourself that question. What would happen if people found out? What would happen if you were all of a sudden single and you were the divorced guy, whether it be your first divorce, your second, your third, or what have you? What would be the problem there? And when we start to ask these questions, we start to look at the underlying pinnings of why we're sticking around in the relationship. Now, again, I'm going to keep saying this because, I want to really make sure everybody gets this. I am for marriages working, right? This is my legacy work with the Powerful Man, is what we're known for worldwide, is helping married men salvage their relationships. And not even salvage, but take it even from good to great, right? If it's from bad to good to great, but even if it's just okay to great. We have a lot of men that come through us that don't really have a lot of problems in their marriage, but it's just not what they want. And so they use the activation method to get that and get to that level. So I'm all for it. However, I'm also for guys not getting taken advantage of. Now, we see it because we get hundreds upon hundreds of men applying for our programs. We only take 9 for our programs. But we talk to everybody. You get on a phone call with an advisor. So I get the chance to meet with the advisors once a week and just, hear their stories. They tell us what the stories the men are, and they're heartfelt, right? The advisors are guys just like you and me who have been through the program. So they get it. And, they're just out there to help guys. That's what we do. And a lot of guys are coming in and we're realizing like, whoa, that guy's with a gold digger, right? He's married to her. He wants to leave the relationship. She wants out, but she wants like a payout, like a large payout. And she's been taking him for his money the whole time. And we also see guys that come in and say, hey, look, I caught my wife sending photos of herself or text messages to another man. And to be honest, this isn't the first time. In fact, it's not even the second or third time. If I'm really honest, this is probably the fifth time I've caught her with a different guy. Well, at that point, guys, we got to know, hey, why are you sticking around? Right? Fool me once or twice even, got it, But after that, that's on you. That's on me if somebody keeps playing me that way. And then I got to start asking myself, why am I allowing myself to be the victim here? Why am I putting myself in this position? And then I want to look at alternatives. Now, again, I'm all for fixing things the best you can, but usually why men, and me in this case in my past, are sticking around is because we feel that we're not good enough. At some level, that we're not good enough. I'm going to let you know you are. And this is where the deep inner work starts to happen. And when I say inner work, this isn't going out and hugging trees, although that's a great thing too. But this is real manly work, right? It's the courageous work, right? You're almost going into the depths of the pit of your soul, and you're excavating things. It's a scary place to go for a lot of us. And that's where the real, I'll say, magic happens. That's where the real wonder happens, is when you start to discover it. And I always use this analogy for myself because it works, is it's almost like putting on your Indiana Jones hat, the Temple of Doom, or whichever episode you guys like. And you're going on a mission. You're going on an adventure inside of yourself. It's going to be scary. You're going to have tribes people trying to kill you. There's all kinds of dangers within there. Yeah, it's also exhilarating. So remember, the big difference between fear and excitement is breath. When you're scared, you hold your breath. When you're excited, you breathe rapidly. And so you really want to think about that. When fear is there, the excitement's on the other side, or can be for you. So my invitation for you today in this message is short, but why are you sticking around in a failed marriage? Why? What is it that is causing you to stay? If you're working on it and you have props, I give you nothing but props, If you're working on it and it's not in a situation, but however, if for some of you guys, you're in a situation where it's repeating the past, right? You're repeating things of the past and you want to get in there, right? You want to change it. I think it was Albert Einstein, and I should know this, but he used to always say, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, right? That's the same thing in marriage. That's why we start off with, the Triad of Connection, using the clean slate method to balance things out, right? Get us on an even playing field again. And then we use the hidden motives technique, right? To really get those positive emotions and positive things going on in the marriage. And then we follow up with the Live Like a King system. That is the basis of where we start all men within the activation method, is that Triad of Connection, because it works. It works really well. However, if you're with a partner who's cheated on you 3, 4, 5 times, right, that may not stop. That may not stop no matter what you do. And so you really want to look at, why are you sticking around in this marriage? Guys, that's all I got for you today. As always, I really greatly appreciate it. If you take a moment to subscribe and leave a comment, an honest review, so other men like you can find our show, whether it be on Spotify, whether it be on iTunes or YouTube or anywhere else. It means a lot to me to see those comments. I absolutely love it. And I love all the work you guys are doing in our Facebook groups. We have several groups going on right now as we go through. We're out here to help guys. And of course, if you're interested in finding out more what we do, right, head over to thepowerfulman.com. You can fill out a quick form, sign up, get on a phone call. There's no commitment. Zero commitment to it all. All I ask is you show up for the call. They're guys just like us who are on there. They're advisors, just answering questions and seeing if it's a good fit. We only take 9 guys at a time because we keep these groups intimate. And that's why we get the results that we get, right? We guarantee the results that we get from people. And so we got to keep it intimate, right, to do so. So gentlemen, as always, take massive action. Hope this is an amazing day for you. And I'll see you next time on The Powerful Man Show.